Yes, we reach again. Well gone, brother.
Medea.
Chew.
Spring is springing than that, but yeah, we're back.
Yeah, so the hay fever's got people up in the choke. This week I've been suffering, bro.
No matter how big you get, man, it just lick you down still. It's but it's also I think that's down to just some pollution in this city, boy.
I hear that too.
Need to fix up.
That too.
But yeah, we're here though.
Big up the J Charm on Instagram. One of his skits I was watching today. It's he's in his house. Actually, I don't want to spoil it. It's about hay fever, basically, and how hay fever turns out to be a man having him up in his yard.
There's drapes in him. Yeah. I hear it. I've been there.
So, yeah, man. Well, anyway, people, welcome to MYB, the Mind Your Business podcast. We're on another roll, and we got a few things to discuss. You know what I mean? Things that are affecting our community, and we're coming with solutions.
This is it.
Them ones there. You get me? How's your week been?
It's been all right, man. Just out here hustling, looking for new opportunities and stuff like that as well. Getting ready, so I'm doing some shows abroad. So I'm trying to do some shows in Denmark, trying to do some shows in Netherlands. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the message out there and get out there. Been on the road. I feel like I've done a lot of things in the comedy scene in the UK, and we're just trying to just get it out there, get this message out there as well. But also to show people about just what the real UK is like. I feel like a lot of people have an idea what they think the UK is. Still talking the Queen or the King. Crumpets and biscuits and red phone boxes and that, and just like
he's still having that problem when you go abroad.
Well, some people think that, but I feel like the Black British experience is something people don't know. And by the same token, there is there's a Black population in Denmark. There's a very, very strong, thriving Black Dutch community. And I'm trying to connect with them as well. Obviously people talk a lot about going to America and stuff, but and that is obviously something that's important. But I think that a lot of Black people in France, a lot of Black people a lot of Ghanaians, Namibians in Germany. So just trying to connect with everybody. Make it happen. Just bring the product to the people. Them.
I hear that still. So yeah, man. As I said, lots of things to discuss as far as our community goes. But one is just spread. This one is for every community. The Blackwall Tunnel. Now, listen, brother. We just travelled here. Yeah, both of us are from Southeast. Well, I'm not from Southeast London, but I live in Southeast London. You're from Southeast London.
Yep.
The studio where we're recording, Big Up Haven Talks, is the East London branch, which is just on the other side of the Blackwall Tunnel. And they've now just implemented this new charge where they're charging, well, for cars anyway, it's like £4 anytime you use the Blackwall Tunnel and that new Silvertown Tunnel as well. Which is ridiculous, but I think what's more ridiculous is the times in which they are levying this, what is a tax.
Yeah.
Which is 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and not even the central congestion zone is that much. So I don't know how to justify this, like it's mad. And you know what's more insulting is the fact that we're paying back investors, like independent investors.
So you probably don't even live in the UK.
You get what I'm showing you?
And probably will have to pay when they come here.
So they're wondering why people are leaving the UK. Yeah, trust me, the next couple of years, I'm on that list because this is bullshit.
I hate to say it, but I feel it as well. I feel like there is a clear message coming from the UK government whereby it's like, if you live in the UK, particularly if you live in London, we only want two types of people: the very rich and the rest of you are workers.
Standard.
And they're gonna try to keep it that way, getting rid of the middle class, however people consider themselves. But if you're middle class or working class, they're trying to get rid of that. It's already rent is now unaffordable in the capital. Like having a good time, eating. Like people say it costs £30 just to be outside and just exist in London. And these are making it even worse. Just existing here. Because when you leave your house, if you're paying big money for petrol, depending on where you go, you got ULEZ, and then you got congestion charge. Then you obviously got like the charge to use public transport. And now you got these charges for Dartford Tunnel, not just a Dartford crossing, you did get charged. Woolwich Ferry, you did get charged. Fucking Silvertown Tunnel, you get into Blackwall Tunnel. Like they just want to, and for me, it pisses me off as well because it's like, this is a country that used to be called a nation of shopkeepers, isn't it? That's what Napoleon said about the UK. And now, if you're a shopkeeper, if you've got a small to medium enterprise and you depend on like freight, like smaller lorries and like commercial vehicles bringing in your produce so you can still do your can run your business, they're adding an additional cost, and it's already hard enough. We've got dealing with austerity, dealing with economic downturns, dealing with fucking tariffs, And now you're making it even harder for people just to run their businesses, for people to just do normal things, whether it's bring your kid to school, whether it's like, because remember, even when you get here, like, get through one of these tunnels, what's going towards roads? Because last time I checked, you lot are namming off the road because you want to put back lanes in there. These ugly fucking bollards that are all along the thing, these big pieces of pavement, damaging people's cars. Blood. But I swear, did we not drive up potholes on the way here, though?
Bare potholes.
Yeah, but potholes everywhere, blood. And it's like, so where's this money going? Because I can't walk on the street in East London without seeing some dog shit. So you're not cleaning. You're not cleaning, so what are you doing? And for me, the Blackwall Tunnel thing has been something that has just been the bane of my life. Like, when I started comedy, I remember the Blackwall Tunnel used to be doing repairs every single week. And if it weren't doing repairs, it was shut down from 8 to 1 in the morning. And I've never driven through this tunnel and thought, rah, they've redone something. They've repaved the thing. They've no improvement has ever been significant enough for me to look at the Blackwall Tunnel and go, oh, that's why they took so fucking long. That's been 15 years of constant improvements to this tunnel, and the only thing they've been able to innovate on is charging people to use it. And on top of that, this next tunnel now they're charging people to use, and I just don't understand what's it going to take for people to really start cussing at these people or revolting. Like, it's interesting because I'm not a conservative, but you see when they started doing ULEZ cameras and people was like, fuck that, I'm going to smash up the camera.
Yeah.
People that swear their brethren was like, yeah, man, go true, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Because as far as they don't care. And I think it was like one of the points where, I'm trying to remember if it was Uxbridge or one of the boroughs in West where they got the ULEZ zone and they were like, we refuse. Like, whoever's bringing that in, we're not going to vote for them. And the fact is that, like, I feel a lot of people need to know one of the reasons why we're having all this fuckery, especially like where they close roads for COVID. First of all, how does a road catch COVID? So there's a lot of side roads. So now where we live in South is one of the most congested parts of London. And that's because all the South Circular roads, all these roads are all locked off because they put these big old boxes with flowers in them saying this road is closed due to COVID. And I'm trying to find out, how can the pavement catch COVID?
Or worse, when they start putting cameras there at these roads where only half the road. So this road was a two-way road, used to be.
Yeah.
And then one half of the road now has got this flower pot in the middle of it. And it's like, you can only drive down there at certain parts of the day. So you think, you know how much time I got nyammed on that?
Yeah. Oh.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just like,
I think I got a case coming. Nah, trust me. I'm a law-abiding citizen, but when it comes to these roads, boy, that's when I end up having friction with the powers that be all the time. Because, like, first of all, I don't understand how anybody, like, how do you expect people to still want to live in the UK when you're putting up 20 miles an hour? And I'm not on this thing of, like, doing mad speed, like, need for speed and that. But what is the point of having a car that drives at 20 miles an hour? Like, what is the point? Like, if any youth, they're like, oh, you kill your speed or you'll kill a child. I feel like we know that youths are not dying from getting licked down all the time by cars. Let's not act like that's the case. Because what they're more likely to die from is the congestion that comes from the fact that you got these cars sitting in traffic because you don't want to put traffic lights every fucking 200 yards and then make roads smaller. Then you want to put a bus lane there. And even during the pandemic, you got a bus lane and we're supposed to get on the buses because of the public transport. They want us to use cars and stuff. But then you make the road shit. And then during the pandemic, only a certain amount of people could be on buses because of social distancing. And it's not like you've increased the fleet of buses and made them efficient so that, you know, people can use public transport. Like, bro, Bakerloo line is still like a rat orgy, bro. It's still rat hairs and pubic hairs and crunch and dustiness and crackhead teeth. Still on the Bakerloo line. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We're still here. And this is what pisses me off. How the fuck are you charging people to use a tunnel in a country where there's doo-doo in the water? In a developed country.
Yeah, it's a shit over.
London tap water still is not something you can drink and say, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But you want to charge people to use tunnels and stuff. You ain't done 24-hour tube when it just came back. Not all the lines are even operate for 24 hours. Infrastructure is rubbish anyway. Like, there's no air conditioning on trains. Still, the central line is still the seventh circle of hell in terms of temperature. Like, can we have our fucking priorities in order, please? Because I love how you can't get no air conditioning, not even fans on a tube. But if you want to advertise, the projector's there straight away.
Yeah.
You get your adverts out, you get your ad revenue.
Yeah.
But if you put on a suit to go work on Liverpool Street, by the time you get there, you're dripping, bro. You're dripping. You look like you've been squeezed out of a vagina or a birth canal by the time you get to work during the summertime. Bro, I'm done with this country. And this is what annoys me, is that when people, you don't want to jump up and riot and stamp on cars and things for things that don't matter, because this ain't got nothing to do with immigration, as why they're doing Blackwall Tunnel and charging people. Because This is just a way, basically, where they lost all the money during lockdown, rather
Spending
than
it on
stupidness,
and
or them
making their
track and tracing
friends
them things, making their
rich.
friends rich.
You get
Basically,
me?
them man just fleeced it. They said, all right, we got this pot, finesse it. Oh, what do you do? I make sweets. Yeah, you can do a PPE, bruv. What do you do? I run a pub. Yeah, you can do it as well.
Yeah,
What do you do?
yeah.
I make panties, which are the opposite of PPE. So I make panties so you can see the pom-pom through the knickers. Okay, Michelle Moan, you can get 300 million. You can get 300 million to make equipment to keep people's bodies protected, even though your expertise is in crotchless knickers. And rather than chase that, Richard Sunak was like, well, there's nothing we can do. And Keir Starmer was like, well, nothing we can do. But what we can do is say, fuck you to the working person and charge them for that. Because it's already bad enough. Places like Regent Street where they've locked off a whole side of roads. So there's just a single lane of traffic going all along Regent Street, which means if a bus breaks down, there's an accident, lock off. So how can this help British commerce? How can this help commerce in the capital? How can the capital, the economic centre of the country, one of the biggest economic centres in the fucking world, how can it work, where you're getting charged to go through a tunnel? You're getting charged to go through a tunnel. When you get through these tunnels and these roads, if you've got like a van bringing you produce, certain roads in the UK now, or in London especially now, because of like these fucking bus lanes, these cycle lanes, and these stupid bollards, you can't park up and offload your goods. So now you've got a big old traffic jam now because the bus is parked or the bus has stopped. And if the bus stops and a crackhead gets on and that crackhead's got questions, we're all waiting for 10 minutes. We all got to wait for 10 minutes because they want to know how to get to Edmonton and the bus driver don't know either. Now it's an argument and everyone's got to wait for this.
But this brings me back to a good point actually, because I was watching something on a social media site, I can't remember which one it was, where there was a white guy living in Africa and he was saying, what are you Africans running over to Europe for? Like, you've got it nice here, you've got nice weather, you get me? You got nice facilities, you got good things going on, and the country's actually, well, say the continent in large spaces is growing in terms of commerce and GDP and potential for massive growth and all these things. And when you take in consideration the amount of businesses that are now being born in Africa and it being able to feed itself, he was basically saying, yo, I don't know what yous that are trying to run over to Europe for, because there's nothing going on over there. And I think more and more we can see that there's nothing going on over here.
What we are dealing with here is a sinking ship. Just like the Titanic. It's licked the iceberg of capitalism, I believe. And the rich are like, right, we need to get to these lifeboats, but make sure we take everything first. And leave the rest of them, whatever in it. And then we are being left with the bill of this decline, this decay in infrastructure, this decay in economy. Like, there's parts of the UK on the motorway where even today, it's 2025. We are a quarter away into the fucking 21st century. The future, yeah? You can geolocate anything in this world through Google Maps, yeah? You can order food on your phone and see exactly where that food is. If someone's on a bike, you know exactly where they are bringing your food, yeah? But you can still drive parts of this country and it is pitch black, no lights, nothing. Still like it was in the 70s. And rather than address that and make sure you can see and be safe on the motorway, no. Let's build more barriers between London and Luton and then say, 50 miles an hour.
And this is the thing, this 50 miles per hour thing, I'm convinced these are just forever, like, these are forever construction projects.
They're not supposed to end.
I drive regularly on the motorway, and there is no trip I take on the motorway where I'm not driving 50 miles per hour, 40 miles per hour because of construction.
On a 4-lane motorway.
Like, just ridiculous. Like, and when are you going to finish?
How many man them do you see at the construction? They're never there.
This is what I'm saying.
They're never there.
This is what I'm showing you.
If you're watching this podcast, take a picture of 4 people, not 1 or 2. I want to see 4 men working on the motorway within business hours, and I bet you can't find them.
See it there?
You won't find them. They're never doing no work. It's forever works. It's one of the hustles of this country. It's a hustle.
This is where people get their money from. This is how people are earning their money.
Banking, property, and constant roadworks.
Standard.
Where I live in Southeast, at one point they dug up the road, so just raised up the pavement to put a bus stop there. Why are you raising the pavement? Because you want to see people trip over. I don't understand what's going on here. But like I said, these lot just think, you know what? how much more out of the pot can we squeeze and say, let's just dig up this good thing? Because another thing is, speaking of forever fucking roadworks, yeah, you see Thames Water. If I'm supposed to be the liberal left man on this podcast, yeah, I'm telling you now, find them all and put them, and they get the chair, bro. Put these pussies on death row. Thames Water, since the pandemic, yeah, have had ample time to fix their plumbing and the pipe system of water system in the capital, yeah. The quality of water and the infrastructure has gotten worse. They've been bankrupt time and time again because all they do is give all their money out to shareholders who are not even based in the UK. If you're British, you're worried about immigrants, worry about these stakeholders who don't even live in the UK that are fleecing your infrastructure and just get bread. And they don't care. They don't care. And they'll be laughing at us.
And this is the thing. The people that run these companies are just freely giving money away. And I don't get it. Like, at some point, you have to think, what about the consumer? Like,
no, they don't, because of Margaret Thatcher, they have a monopoly. A lot of these, whether it's like power, water, these things are all monopolies. So we can't say, oh, Thames Water shit, I want to go to another supplier, because they're the only game in town. You can't say Thames Water shit, I want another supply of water. They're the only game in town. So even though we talk about a free economy and capitalism and people being able to have free markets and all this neoliberalism shit, they've awarded the monopolies to these corrupt fuckers who, you lot are worried about immigrants. That's not the brown thing in your waters you should be concerned about. It's straight sewage going in your water.
That some of you are drinking.
And you lot are drinking.
Yeah, me.
And you wonder why you say that. And to be honest, maybe that's why you lot say the stupid things you say about immigrants, because Pierre Doodoo bacteria is on the brain. How can we be living? How are we living in the 21st century and you lot can't even, and you're not even drinking clean water? And you lot worried about immigrants. This is what this is what grandparents went to war for. This Blackwall Tunnel thing. I hope that this goes the way of the poll tax and people switch enough that they got to lock it off.
There needs to be something,
because
you know
council tax ain't gone down. Road tax ain't gone down. These things have just gone up.
Yeah, everything's just going up.
All of these taxes that are supposed to go towards infrastructure, the infrastructure ain't changing. I thought taxes went to prison. They started releasing prisons because they're like, it's just too full. Should we put them somewhere else? Nah, man, just put them out there.
All mismanagement. Yeah. Money mismanagement on a grand scale.
Of idiots after idiots who are in these jobs to get cushy jobs where they can claim money for second homes, claim expenses, don't do nothing. And anybody who was cared about infrastructure, anybody who cared about, like, when I remember when Jeremy Corbyn was saying about we should have free internet, especially during the pandemic, and people were like, nah, why would that even work? Then when we start getting cyber attacks, people are like, well, I can't find no access to the internet, the NHS, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, some free internet would have, because when you go to certain countries in Europe, I've been to Estonia, yeah? I believe when I'm in Estonia, I am one of 9 people in Estonia who are black. I once took a ferry from Estonia to Finland, and I was the only black person on the ferry. Just to show you what I'm prepared to do for the sake of my art. But I digress, yeah? When you get to Estonia, a country that you can tell how well a European country is doing or how advanced it is, normally about how well they're doing, like football things. And Estonia ain't doing rubbish, but they ain't doing great. But one thing about Estonia, when it comes to their technology, you go in the streets, the internet is free. There will be citywide Wi-Fi, so you can always be connected. I remember making a joke about saying, like, it's conspiracy because if they really wanted to have a democracy, you'd be able to make a vote on your phone through biometrics and a thumbprint or your eye, scanning your eye, or your facial recognition. You should be able to vote on your phone. And you know what they said? We can do that here. And I was like, bro, you can't even do that in the UK. And I feel like British people need to understand, you're getting bumped like Americans. You're being told this is the best place in Europe because you think immigrants and everyone's trying to come here. And really and truly, because you sit there believing that, they are taking the piss more and more and taking away more and more. Like, I don't understand how you can pay £1 million in London for a house and you can come home and a cracker can take a piss on your wall. A fox can shit in your front door. And I'm just saying, if you're paying £1 million for a house, I feel like people shouldn't be able to take a piss on your wall. I don't think that's crazy. I don't think that makes me a communist. I think if you pay £1 million for a house, I should have to hear.
Should be gated somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I don't want to hear the sound of my neighbours. Pom pom. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be £1 million for walls so thin I can hear when you run out of batteries on the vibrator. This is madness. This is madness. And to now charge for a tunnel, which I can guarantee will require more and more ongoing, perpetual improvements every 3 months.
Yeah, it's nonsense, bro.
Foolishness.
You know the wickedest thing as well. I remember I went to Lisbon with my brothers, just summer gone, and we got talking to some guys. They're from the UK, and we were talking about how nice Lisbon is and blah blah blah. And the one thing he said, one of the guys said to me, like these were university educated lads, like they were just finished, they were just graduating, and they were talking about what they're doing next, and quite educated. You know, I can't remember. Like one of them was working in finance, and some other like well-to-do spaces. Anyway, one of them was saying to me, yeah, but you know, the one thing with Lisbon and Portugal at large, their GDP is poor and blah, blah, blah. It started going into the economics. I said to him, you know what, though? The amount of bars, like terrace bars, like bars on top of like high rises. There's one bar, which is probably one of my favorite bars in Lisbon. It's got like an arcade game set in there. Like there's like 3-4 arcade games in there. Sick. Bro, when you go outside onto the actual bar part, right, you are hundreds of feet up in the air, and literally there's just like a glass like window that's just like waist height. Like you could literally jump off. But you know why people don't jump off? Because of the standard of living. Yeah. So while the GDP might be poor, you get what I'm showing you, and they might not produce a lot for a European country, and it might not seem like, you know, a UK feels like, or feels like, or whatever, or the way that people perceive the UK to be. Bro, no one ain't jumping off. And I'm telling you, there's bare bars in Lisbon like that. You get me? You could not put any bars like that in the UK.
You can't even put hotels like that in the UK.
You get what I'm saying? Like people will be jumping off that. Because the mental, while the GDP might be poor in Lisbon, the mental health in the UK is in the bin, and that's because of these consistent taxes.
It's bad vibes, man. And that's why they say the UK is bad vibes, because by the time, before you get to your place of work, any social engagement, you feel like you've been violated. They've run to your pockets before you even get there.
That's what I'm saying.
They run into your pockets before you even get there, and then you're paying parking if you ain't got a permit, and you can still have to park somewhere and come back to like bird shit on your car. Like it's like you're driving over potholes. You can't use the whole space. And what annoys me the most is that it's like we got all these cycle lanes, and I got no problem with cycling, but how are you, like, first of all, these people will disappear when it comes to winter.
Cyclists use the flipping cycling lanes. That's all I gotta say, because when I see cyclists veering into the road, like, I want to lick you down, because I'm thinking to myself, like, you've got a lane, and even if you are...
That you didn't even pay for.
Imagine.
Because my road tax paid for that.
Well, I mean, they say road tax is supposed to go for the roads, but apparently it doesn't. I've seen some study about it.
It would not shock me.
Yeah, but anyway, my point is, if you're a cyclist, just stick to the side of the road, even if there isn't any cycling lane. Like, we all are accustomed to you using the side of the road. If you start veering into the center of the road, you are now in violation. Yeah. And the wickedest thing is, if I lick you down as well, I'll probably get it in the neck. You get what I'm saying? But it pisses me off to see cyclists riding in the middle of the road.
With no helmet.
Well, forget the helmet thing. It's when you're slowing, like, you've got 10 cars behind you, you get me? Yeah. And I'm a man, when I'm driving, I want to get to where I'm going. I'm not long thing. So
me too.
What are you doing? You're slowing me down? Or
I take it as a personal attack.
Like I said,
it's a personal disrespect.
These people have no ambition.
Yeah.
You can tell the ambition. I personally believe you can tell the ambition of people by the way they walk, by the way they cycle, and by the way they drive. If you are just, especially in a city like London where we've got shit to do. Yeah. So if we're out trying to do what we're doing, at least make way for us.
Yeah, do that.
You're just walking around, or
you're
driving aimlessly, and you've got nothing to do, like, or you just, whatever you're doing, let the people that are trying to get to where they're going, get to where they're going, get out the way. You get, I'm showing you.
Yeah, what's all this bus lane? Where's the pussy hole lane? Go in that lane.
Yeah, that's
if you want to drive slow and I'll pay for that.
I'll pay for that. That will save me some petrol, because I get to where I'm going.
Going to be in the basic lane and just trundle through and do Sunday driving and do scenic routes. Go in the scenic lane. Now it's London roads are ones that were already not designed to take into account like how technology would change with cars and accommodate things like whereas SUVs or small SUVs, and has been, and it's an ancient city. But rather than have some realistic improvements that would increase productivity and reduce congestion, there's got idiots who obviously got these jobs through their family members who do not even know how to do any kind of road or city planning. and it's just getting worse.
So then the question is, I mean, I would say this: those of us who have ties to our mothering countries, we should be looking to establish a base there, because I don't feel like on a level on this podcast we talk about the black community and how to improve the living standards and raising the consciousness of the black community, especially from within the UK. But with that said, I feel like there's not long left. There's not long left for anyone really in the.
If you're in the capital, it used to be a thing of you got to stay in the people want to stay in London because you see people that look like you, and obviously you got amenities that are particular to the culture, whether it's like food or getting your hair cut and all these things. But a lot of us are moving further out.
I mean, I would argue that you could have a better standard of living and have better mental health and enjoy life a lot better living in, say, if you're from Ghana, living in Ghana, or living in anywhere in like major African countries that are developing, or some parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah, don't believe the hype, and this is the thing that, like, things like British media have spent so long trying to suggest that African countries overall are still structurally underdeveloped, and at this point now, no.
In fact, you know what? If we was to contribute our brains to the growing countries within Africa, a lot of us would be in good positions to benefit financially if that's what we're going for. You get what I'm showing you? Like from the growth that's going on in these countries. So definitely I would say, we're probably better off there, to be fair, because this country is turning into a shithole, and I'm questioning myself, like, I'm actually here? Sitting down saying,
why are we still here?
What is keeping me in this country?
I hear it. I actually agree, and I'm not trying to be like extra. We're not trying to like hype that much. I think as a culture, we've always kind of been like, need to get out of here, go back to the homeland, wherever your respective homeland is. But at this point now, this country, without London and the whole banking and money class, it's an Eastern European country. Even now, when I hear people say Croatia sounds better than here.
Listen, Croatia is
right.
Yeah, I've been to
Croatia,
I'm saying. And yeah, definitely. But you know what? Interesting question, because I've been seeing this conversation across social media about people from the diaspora and whether or not they consider themselves English, British, and whether our white counterparts consider us English or British. But the way I've been brought up, I've always been, it's like English is a very white thing.
Yeah.
Being English is white.
Anglo-Saxon. Yeah. That's what the root of the word is.
Being British is where you're born. So like, I'm
nationality.
British,
yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we agree on that? Because I've never asked all right.
Completely.
Cool.
And sometimes if white people are like, I don't think you're British, I'd be like, well, okay. Yeah, you think I'm gonna fight so you don't accept me? I don't care. I don't. A lot of people, I see a lot. I remember seeing an interview with David Lammy on LBC, talking to an English woman and being like, "Well, how am I not English?" And basically, to cut a long story short, she was like, "Well, you can't be English because you're black, and blacks can't be English." And he was like, "I think that I am English." Blood, stop begging it, bro. They don't think you're English. It doesn't matter. Who cares? I'm not trying to fight for no English status.
Yeah.
English pertains to Anglo-Saxon Protestants mainly, and they are English people, and even they are not indigenous to this land. They are from Germany. They are Germanic tribes, just like the Normans that came here invaded. They are French. English people look like Cheddar Man, the dark skin brother. Do you know what I mean? The same way when this is a Christian country. It's not. That's why Stonehenge is there, because you used to have druids in this country, and people have white people do their thing where they dance around the maypole. That's like another pagan ritual, which is about fertility. They're dancing around a big penis. So they look at them sticks and they wear like these garters and things, and it's like, la, 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 clap, clap. It's like, that's what they're doing. They're dancing, go, dick, dick, and then they just carry on dancing. These are not Christian practices. This country had Celtic religion, had Druidism, paganism, and then during the spread of like the whole Roman Empire, the people that invaded and came here brought Christianity to the UK. And that's that's a part of history that I know that a lot of English people do not know, because if they were English, they wouldn't say this country is a Christian country, because there's big old monoliths and big old things and pieces of stone masonry which prove this has not always been a Christian country. And in fact, the denomination of Christianity that you follow was made up by Henry VIII, because he was like, I can't divorce my wife. New ting.
Bond that,
Yeah, but new ting.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of this nonce. I want new nonce. Look at the new nonce over there. If I have to move heaven and earth, literally, I want new nonce. And that's why you lot are a Christian Church of England. It's the Church of New Pum Pum, really. That's what it is.
if you want to put it like,
Yeah, well, that's why it started.
Yeah.
It started because that's exactly why it started, because he wanted to get divorced and get a new gal, and he couldn't do that because he would have led to war with Spain, and so he created a whole new denomination, and that's what we follow here. But I've seen enough examples throughout my life of where how we are viewed as descendants of immigrants with British passports, who have lived here, grown here, invested in the country through our taxes, contributed as workers. When it doesn't suit, you're not British. And I'm not somebody who's ever trying to fight to prove myself amongst these people.
Well, you know what? I don't really care.
I don't care at all.
I don't care who thinks I'm British from who I'm not, because I've got a British passport, and when it benefits me, it gets used.
Right.
So,
and that, just like with them.
Right.
Because you see, because it's Sharia laws taking over the country. So why is everyone in Dubai then?
You know, the wickedest thing is, it's mad how, and I don't know if we've missed the trick as a black community, right? But as far as our culture is concerned, we're all going to Dubai. But you know where rich white elites are going? Singapore.
There you go.
You get what I'm showing?
Where the real money at?
You get me? So it's like, what's going on over there? Like, I want to see what's going on over there.
Or them places like Singapore, them places like Macau, that's where the real money people go.
You get
these other people that are
these are people that are leaving both the UK and the US. I don't know about Europe and certain parts of Europe, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
I know there's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
Are leaving US and UK in particular, and they're going to Singapore.
Because Singapore has a thriving economy.
I'm saying Singapore, is it Sri Lanka? No, it's Singapore. Singapore, sorry.
Because it's got a thriving economy.
Yeah.
It always has done.
Yeah.
So I definitely see that.
Because there's a book I need to read, actually.
The way the Dubai thugs
there is
like,
a particular Singapore prime minister that created their economy.
Yes. Yeah.
That
I did hear that.
Because it's I think there's strategies within what they've done that we could implement in going back to Africa and building.
Or the Caribbean. The only problem is that we have much more haters than people in Singapore have. Because, for example, Jamaica has a lot of bauxite, which is like the mineral where they get aluminium from. So around about the time where in the 80s, where they had like the proxy war and the political violence kind of flared up a lot, was because of the fact that like America didn't want that kind of interest of that mineral going towards like more communist interests. Because obviously Manley was backed by Castro or socialist, and then Siaga.
Yeah, it was Siaga.
Siaga, he was CIA backed, innit?
Yeah.
But that was over like resources again. And at the end of all of that, even Jamaica's infrastructure could, certainly when the Chinese have come now, that they've started to see some, it's crazy. But I completely agree with you. We could definitely take a lot from there, and what it comes down to is we are from resource-rich countries. And if it's not down to just the minerals that we have, at the very least, it is down to even down to vegetation. These are things like like you said. The mad irony is that we as a people, whether we are from the continent, whether we're from the Caribbean, we travel to the developed world and have to take all the stupidness to make money to live a better standard of life. And do you know what people with money do? They go and live in the Caribbean. They go live in South Africa. When people say to me, go back to where you come from, I say, I would love to, but there's a white man living in my house in South Africa. And he needs to go. So if you can turf a white man from my mansion in South Africa, I will move home. Gary Rhodes was a famous TV chef who passed away a few years ago. And he has a house in Grenada. I want that house. It should be mine. Why? Because God says so. I don't know. Whatever excuse white people use, I'm using the same one. I want that house. And anyone who can make that happen, make it happen. That's my house and I want it.
So comparatively, obviously none of us are from the US, but from what we see, it seems like they're having a warm time at the minute.
It's all going on. It's all going
Tariffs.
on.
And I still like
war.
I still like facets of what Trump is doing. I prefer, and even though Candace Owens is now seeming to be backtracking, I'm still down with Trump.
Yeah, but you're down with Trump for a different reason. You're down with Trump because you think that people who think everything's all good are seeing now. That's what
Yeah.
I hear that. I hear it. That Nubian nihilism, I hear it, bro. Because Now, yeah, he's caused. I think they said that in a week, the week just gone, I think 1.3 trillion wiped off the stock market, and even more now.
But you know what? The wickedest thing is, yeah, okay, however much it is, it's in the trillions. This is the time to buy.
If
You
you,
get,
can
I'm
afford,
showing
if you
you.
can afford to
Like,
buy,
this is the thing. No, but even if you are investing 10,000 in a particular stock, let's say Tesla, because Tesla last year, the amount of money that I know people personally were making of Tesla stock, like on a day trading thing, mad money. You get what I'm showing you. Now, when you consider how much, there's no way Tesla's gonna stay where it is. This is the time to buy. So even if you're putting in 2, 5, 10 grand, you're gonna make comparatively. You're gonna stand to make money. You get me?
well,
So
hopefully, but I mean, the way that people are responding to the tariffs
mm,
could be problematic because I saw today that China have basically said, if you make fake American stuff in China, feel free. So any counterfeit goods that people make that are like and based on American products,
yeah,
China have now ratified that group of people in China to make American counterfeit goods. So anything that they feel Americans are losing, people are losing out from that's imported from America.
right, yeah. Just make it yourself.
Just make it yourself, and we won't say a word. What are they gonna do?
And the wickedest thing is, right, it's so easy, especially in a digital world, to be able to replicate any product and service.
Yeah.
And even physical products. So, I mean, they've been doing handbags for years.
Yep.
And, you know, stands to reason, they've been creating these handbags and any other products for major companies like, you know, all these designer companies and whatnot.
If I ever met a human being who had a product in their whole life and was like, I've never had anything made in China, that person is an alien. Because as long as I've been alive, you could look on any consumer product and it would either say made in China, made in Vietnam, made in Bangladesh, and sometimes hecho in Mexico. And he has levied tariffs against all of these people and they're not having it. So I'm interested to see what the end game is. Obviously, like I said, the potential is to buy kind of stock there, but it depends how bad this goes and how long it goes on for. So I don't know if he's going to dig his feet in and stick to his guns, because I think the tariff on China is like, was it 32%?
I don't know.
Or China put a 32% tariff against America in retaliation. America wants, Trump wants to push it up to 50. I feel sorry for all these people that buy stuff from Temu and Shine and all these other places as well now, because this fast fashion bubble might burst.
This is the thing, though. The whole point of it is to bring, well, what Trump said is to bring American jobs back to America from these places. So putting up the tariffs means that the cost price for products from places like China is now more expensive. So you might as well buy it from America, where you have to pay, I don't know what the minimum rate wage is, which is a lot more than what it would be.
I don't think that American contingent of manufacturing exists anymore, and I think that people have to remember that America has had to maintain its prison industrial complex in order for them to even be remotely competitive as a part of whether the North American Free Trade Alliance, Free Trade Agreement, or even like to compete with China, stuff like that. That's why they got their prison population making military stuff and making Victoria's Secret.
So I wanted to dissect that, because the reason you bringing up the whole the prison complex, in that regard, you have people that don't understand that it's our black brothers and sisters in America that are suffering the most at this end. You get what I mean? They're the ones that are in these, that fill these prison houses. Their families are the ones that
doing the forced labor as part of the 13th Amendment. And that's what I'm worried about, is that as well as the overrepresented black population in America's prison system, you know, they're starting to detain and extradite people from the Latin community as well. And a lot of people feel like these people that are going to be held in detention are going to be made into just basically slaves, and that's how America's going to cover themselves over the back of this trade deficit.
But this is where people, I've always said, like, America's a bit of a funny place. You get what I mean? Because
put it lightly.
it kind of gives the perception of, I mean, if you look at, you know, especially patriotic Americans, they will say things like, we're the greatest nations that's ever existed, we're the greatest. And it's like, for some people, you start having a great time. But the vast majority of people having a very shit time. You get what I'm showing you?
Oh, they're having a terrible time. America as an idea is a fantastic idea as it existed. And there's a point in time where that idea might be working, but you know, when people get absolute power, comes the corruption. And now, like you said, people in America, it's when you have a country where they say we are the best country in the world, but 3/4 of the people that live there do not own a passport. It was always kind of a recipe for disaster, or at least to upset people's belly. Because
the thing is, you can't build a house on bad foundations.
Yep.
And from the very inception of America, I feel like it was built on bad foundations.
On the worst foundations.
Like there was no way you could really build anything fruitful on foundations. And then what they're trying to do is kind of whitewash those foundations.
Right now,
act like it's nothing. You know what? And I really don't want to sound racist when I say this, but they're and because I'm not racist, you get me. Like, but the point I'm going to make is this, right? I don't know any other nation that goes anywhere else in the world, commits mass atrocities to the people living in that space, builds businesses, creates systems of capitalism, and then tells the people that, okay, what we done to take control is now illegal, so you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, and I seen another interview with an African scholar, and he was saying, I've been all over the world, and I've never seen no black nation go anywhere and colonize and turn anybody else into slaves.
Never.
So it just makes me think.
But I want to just add on to that, because this is the thing when we say about slaves. Because when we say slaves, people like to put their 2 pence in and be like, well, the Irish were slaves too. You know, at one point, the Arabs also enslaved Africans. Well, actually, a lot of Africans sold on the... Like, we're talking about chattel. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, well, the Jews were slaves too, and blah, blah, blah. By the fact that you say Jew, which means you are referencing a religious belief, and people that adhere to that religion, it's not the same. Because we were not allowed to have our own religion. And if we practice our own religion, we would be killed. In the same way that people are like, well, our families were slaves and blah, 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 and according to the scriptures. So you could write your own scriptures then. They weren't the same. Because if we had our own religion, we were killed. And it's also important to highlight, when people like slavery ended, the act of being able to kidnap people from Africa and force them into servitude and treat them like property and say they're 3/5 of a human being was not the end of the system of oppression on which America is built. Because when slavery was declared illegal, so the film 12 Years a Slave, for example, is about Solomon Northup, who was a free man. So he wasn't even a slave. He was a free man living in the North, and he was drugged and kidnapped by 2 white slave catchers, and they forced him into slavery. So he wasn't ever a slave, he was a free person. And it took him 12 years to escape. And even after he escaped, because of America's laws, he wasn't even able to seek any kind of damages or any kind of compensation or even punishment for the people that kidnapped him. When the first black people in America, first African Americans, were able to become members of the police force, for whatever reason, they were not allowed to arrest or detain white people. So really, it's just performative, because you're not really allowed to actually enforce the law to certain people. So for me, it's important to make sure when people talk about slavery, what was experienced by Africans is not the same as what other people experience.
Absolutely not.
Not the same at all. That I'm not allowed a name. I'm not allowed freedom of marriage. I'm not allowed to read. I'm not allowed to... People, you know that people in America, African Americans, were not allowed to have vanilla ice cream. Because the idea of them eating something white was too much for certain white people.
You know the thing about it, the only thing when you specify it to being the experiences of African Americans, in my opinion, in the large spaces, allows them to think that they're the only ones that went through it. And I say that to say this because, a large portion of our African brothers and sisters like that have come from Africa, the continent, directly, not by way of any other country, and have come to spaces like the UK or America. Yes, you could levy that against them, but from
the Caribbean,
from the Caribbean,
it struck us off first.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because ours wasn't documented, or you don't see films about that.
But the thing is,
African Caribbean.
ours was documented. The only difference is no. But what you're saying is absolutely correct in that, and I think that is a product of the American education system. And I think that the idea is to create this idea of isolation, and also to create a variance between the diaspora. So that now you've got groups like the Foundational Black Africans who have this idea that Caribbeans and continental Africans think that they are above African Americans who experience chattel, like we didn't experience the same thing. And that's not really the case. That's not, wherever that's coming from, fuck all that. But this idea that they're the only ones that went through it, I think that's to create an idea of isolation.
Yeah, also, yeah. And it also kind of stands alongside this kind of African American patriotism.
Yeah.
You see, where it's like, I'm American first and black second.
Yeah.
When they see it the other way around, like the powers that be see it the other way around.
The fact that they even preface it, like none of, aside from indigenous Americans, like, whether it's like Cherokee, Sioux, like Navajo, etc., apart from indigenous people to America, none of these white people, they're not called European Americans. And this is the thing, it's like, and in terms of African Americans, that really, and I'm not saying, it's interesting because we spoke about a British identity.
Yeah.
And we'll say you could say you're British because of your passport.
Yeah.
Whereas African Americans have to preface their status, despite the fact that they have had a presence in America before Eastern Europeans, before Asians, before Russians. All of these subsequent waves of immigration that have taken place in the United States, African Americans were there before that because they were the ones that, for example, built the country. Then they also created the capital that allowed for these other people to come and experience the American dream. So I see where the resentment comes from, but directing it towards us, now we was going through the same thing, my G.
Yeah.
And the continental Africans were going through colonialism, where what took place in the Congo at the hands of King Leopold was just as bad.
If not worse.
Yeah. If not worse. There's one of the reasons why we can use the term black is because there is a mutuality between our experience, our collective trauma.
Sorry to cut you, yeah. Because, and this is why I say if not worse, and a lot of people might gasp when I say that, but you have to understand that when people think, especially these warmongers, when they think that you're not looking, the atrocities that they will commit is barbaric.
Yeah.
There's a case, and we'll speak about it later, when in Israel, where I think it was in Gaza, in fact, where the UN workers actually filmed an ambulance being attacked by the IDF.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But this is the thing, when people don't know you're looking, the shit that they will do is mad. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, no, that's not us, or we wouldn't do that, or put some sort of niceties, political niceties on top of it, as if to say, yeah, we are above that. But really, they are so much more below.
Margaret Thatcher's son, his name is Mark Thatcher, and he was arrested in Africa because he tried to finance a coup in Equatorial Guinea. And it was him and 3 other white men that was buying weapons to try and overthrow the government there, and they got caught. The other 2 white men went jail, and he walked free. But when people weren't looking, Margaret Thatcher's son, who I never seen do anything in politics to justify this, tried to overthrow an African country to control their resources.
That's it.
Like, so far as like African Americans and their relationship to like Black Europeans or Black Britons, there's been a lot lost in the sauce for a very long time.
My advice to our Black cousins and brothers and sisters in America, just like the film that they produced, get out.
And if not, like, stay woke.
I mean, you can't even use that anymore.
We can't even use that anymore,
they've taken the word woke.
This is it. So don't sleep, because sleep is the cousin of death.
You get what I'm showing you, car. It's long out there.
That's gone the same way as bling now. Can't use that word.
They epitomise the frog that has been slowly boiling in the pan of water.
Yeah.
You get what I'm showing you? They don't know the temperature. They've normalised the temperature change so much that they're just being boiled alive. You get what I'm saying? It's a madness.